Okay. I was just going to have a look at the sea, Stuart.
Oh, sorry.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I was brought up looking out my window at that. And quite often I'd sneak out at night and the rocks, when the tide was out, you'd stay on the rock, tide would come in, you'd either have to swim back. Our parents didn't know, of course. And it was just wonderful to have that sea out. I must say I miss it a little bit. I'm having to use my willpower to get down to the sea at least once a month. I know of some people that have to go every week, especially people from the country, but there's something about it. And I know we played that song last time, I think we were all together, but some of you weren't here and I wanted you to hear that. And we welcome Sylvia. She's managed to get her video working. And we welcome a few others. We welcome William, Robin, Wendy and John and Bev, and there's a few others there too. So welcome to you. So here we are, almost the end of August. This is the last one, I think, for August. And the power of the month, as you know, is will. It's the motive power for all other faculties, and it moves into action all the other faculties of the mind. Unity lists 12 powers to the understanding of our soul's journey. There are probably others, but I think 12 will do for me. In the revealing word, some numerology coming up, Beverly. In the Revealing Word by Charles Fillmore, we learn that the number 12 refers to spiritual fulfillment. 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 months of the year, the 12 disciples, the 12 tribes of Israel, and there are more. Can you tell us anything more about the number 12?
I always worry about you.
Come up and see.
This is awful.
I-
This one I'm not prepared.
You're not prepared.
I'm not prepared at all.
No, you say that every time we have a concert.
Do I?
So go on,
Good
yes.
morning, everyone.
Come
Good
in a little
morning,
bit.
everyone.
There they are.
Good morning to you all on Zoom. I suppose what I've observed about 12 over many years of looking at birthdays, I think personally it's one of the strongest days of the month. I can't explain why to you. It just seems to have leadership qualities. I know a footballer born on the, you'll be interested, Bob, but unfortunately he played for Collingwood. I know, it is very sad. He was born on the 12th of August. Now I think one of the ex-governors of Victoria was born on the 12th of May, Alex Chernov. I can't, at this minute, my ex-husband was born on the 12th of September. And he was certainly a strong person. But the other thing I always think of with 12 is you add the two digits together. 1 and 2 are 3. And 3 is the number of creativity, adaptability, being able to fit in many circumstances. We're the opposite, you and I, Jenny. I think from memory you're the 21st of February. Is that right? And I'm the 21st of May. And they both also add to 3. But it's more an adaptability with 21, that we find we can fit into different environments. But as I said, 12, okay. Very strong.
Thank you.
And is that enough, Bill?
Yes, it
Are we
is.
fine?
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Well, we mentioned the 12 powers. Does anyone know any of them? We've been coming here so long it should roll off our lips. Will. Very good, Bob. Zeal. Hang on, what have we got? One, Sheila, what have you got? Love, faith, okay. And our licensed Unity teacher, Leslie. Yes. Well, I'm used to being on the spot. So, any more? Power, yes. Imagination, yes. See, I'm having to look at them myself. Elimination, yes. And life. Yeah. Anyway, will is the motive. Will is the motive of most of them. So, and we are responsible for how we use this willpower, and those other powers will help us as we use it. So does it come naturally, willpower? There's some things, yes, but there are many times we need a discipline. This discipline comes from a form of mental control, emotional control, and spiritual control. I forget where it was, but there was one of the nuns at one of the early churches I was at. She said there is spiritual, emotional control, spiritual control, mental control, and physical control, and there was a few others that all form a discipline for us on the path. But don't let us get discouraged. These don't come in one day. They come in time, and often it takes years. We need willpower as we step out into the world, especially in the first half of life. But we don't want to be hearing about that at that age. We often step out into the world and we just take the consequences of what happened. We learn by trial and error and the consequences of our actions. Now, in the second part of life, which occurs when family obligations and we've gotten older have been met, it's time to think about who we are and where do we go from here, if it hasn't crossed our minds before. And in my demographic, that's code for senior citizen, I suppose, the age of 70 I noticed a turning point. And I felt the energy, physical energy, a little bit slowing down, just a little bit, but gradually, as I move on closer to 80, there is a difference again. And I have to just watch what I do. I don't run around like I used to. I'm sure some of you here can all relate to that. Not that we take it nice and easy, because we come across some very sad times when our friends pass away. And we have time to reflect on how we could have done things in the past. I call that illumination. And it's not all light and happiness. We can see the greatest good and we can also see the greatest pain that's been caused in life. And that's awareness we have to live with. But we can do it because we know it's part of the journey. We hear people say there is no death. Well, from a soul's point of view, there isn't. But the physical body, which is made up of the elements, will eventually take its turn. But the soul is there for the next stage of our journey. So that's why we hear in the Bible, store up treasures in heaven. That takes on another meaning. So little things, and as we're getting older and as society is changing, we look around, it's not just individual enlightenment, we need collective enlightenment now. I've seen it, being in the country, it's quite interesting to see how everyone gets together. I had their little moments, of course, but we have the men's shed, and we have this man that grows this grows that, and they just leave them out on the footpath. And the men's shed's wonderful. It's now the women's shed as well, much to a few grumbles from some of the old tyrants. But anyway, one lady's got away and she's doing her craft there. And I noticed there's a little musical group that's starting up. Now, I'm keeping out of that for now. I don't want to hear another recorder playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Or the banjo doing a low RA, or whatever they do for the first three chords. But there will come a time, I might, when I'm committed. And I know that I could help, but at the meantime, they're doing it themselves. But they're getting together. So we talked about developing willpower. And when we're young, we have various dreams of what we're going to do. Champion athlete, TV personality, usually something glamorous. But as we get into it, I noticed when I did my music, willpower is very, very much needed. There's a saying, creativity without craft. We may feel the emotion of beautiful music or work of art, but we haven't the craft to present it. It remains an idea in our minds because we haven't done the scales, we haven't done the arpeggios, we haven't learned how to write it, communicate it. And brings the story. I remember going to a party a few years ago, and I said to this guy, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "We're talking about different creators." He said, "I'm a poet." I said, "Oh, have you had anything published?" He said, "No." I thought, "But I'd like to see them." And I did have a look at some of them, and he had something there, but he didn't quite have the craft to bring it to the next level. But somehow he eventually got the message and had a few lessons with a tutor, and his poem started to mean something, to express what he really felt inside. Some of these great ideas come to us at awkward times, in the middle of the night sometimes. We haven't got a pen or a piece of paper. While we're asleep, we go back to sleep and forget about them. But anyway, this creative discipline, Beethoven, Bach, Somerset Maugham, and others that we know, other people I know too, they're up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, Wendy.
It's okay.
We've got a book that we all know. It's a private joke, but I'll let you in it. It's called the 5 a.m. Club, for goodness sakes. There's a character called the Millionaire. He comes up with some inspirational quotes by either himself or other famous people. He says, "Research proves that training yourself so your willpower becomes maximised is one of the crowning achievements of an epic life. It's a myth that celebrated athletes and legendary artists and revered statesmen and women have had more natural willpower than the rest of us." And I think I've got a slide here. You'll have to look at this at home on the screen here. They may have begun as ordinary people, yet through relentless practice and constant drilling to the wire in excellent daily habits, their power to manage themselves against their cravings and temptations grew stronger until the culture perceived them as superhuman. That book, just being on the shelf, is an inspiration. But when I was younger, I did get up and do things in the morning. I'd be jogging around Albert Park Lake at 6:30, I think it was. We had a chap who lived nearby, and actually I was teaching him how to play the organ. And he said, "You're getting a bit tubby, Bill." He said, "Come on, we're going to go around the lake every morning, 5 days a week." And sure enough, we did. And it's amazing who you saw there. Some famous people, footballers and others. And I think I saw a couple of TV people there at one particular stage. Now, this is the tan. This is just going round Albert Park Lake. And I did that for 2 years. I've never felt fitter. It was absolutely amazing. So our journey is just as vital as the next person, and it's our chance to expand our consciousness even further as those who've paved the way for us. Which, coming together, is author and minister James Illett wrote, 2 different approaches to the same truth, which is seeing the coming together of science and spirituality. The spiritual seeker of today has the advantage that of the consciousness of all humankind is rising, and thus there is less collective resistance. And there sure is. We're all expanding in our own way. There are bumps like we've never seen before in society and in around the earth. Different things are happening. But it's our reaction to it, our unity principles, which help. Will is needed on all egos, body, ego, soul, and spirit. Now we have our odds and ends to books and tapes and CDs to listen to, but we have to apply the technique. The fifth unity principle states, knowing and understanding the laws of life are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows, and this takes willpower. And sometimes to say the truth means you cause disharmony in certain circumstances. So we have to use our wisdom along with our willpower and our zeal to keep going. As we've seen recently with the Olympic Games, the discipline and willpower combined with hours of practice for that one moment of glory. We know from a fact that a piano sonata lasting 10 minutes in performance time can take up to 6 months to prepare, not mentioning the time needed at the keyboard to keep the technique up. So in closing, the children's book down there called The Big Me or The Little Me. Will I succumb to the small I and put aside the things that really need doing today? Or will I summon up the big me and say, regardless of how I feel, whether it's raining and windy outside, I am still ready to go for my morning walk, my piano practice, and do some cleaning around the house. I've just had an air conditioner put in. It's about the same size as that one. Went in, I think, on Wednesday. I had all these things I was going to do. On the Thursday, I just turned that thing on and lay on the couch. It was wonderful. That was my... Then, of course, Friday comes and you have to catch up. Now, finally, does our personal will reflect the universal law of harmony? And as an expanding soul in evolution, because we are, we can use our will to live in harmony with our fellow humans and all creations. And I noticed when I first got into Unity many years ago now, it was more about me. I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want abundance. Now it's shifting. All that's worked. It's not just about me anymore, it's about all of us. And what a challenge that is. It's a moment in time. Luke 22, verse 42. Not my will, the little me or the little I, but thy will, the big me or the big I, be done. Choose you this day whom you will serve, and so it is. Thank you.